All right, everybody, I'm back, and we have a quick cutscene here, so I'm going to keep quiet for it. We get a material here. The key point here is it says at the bottom, someone else may have something to offer. Okay, and so that means that we need to take that thing to one of the NPCs in one of the rooms in the game. And I'll give you a hint, it's the lady after the wolf fight. I think that's who it is. It actually might be the mining robot that ends up being in the town. I forget which one it is, but he's only one, but that lady, there's like 2 or 3 things that you can give her in the game. And so right there, you just saw I started to do the technique with the block so that I can stay in the air longer and I can extend my combo range. That's a key point in this game for like how to keep your combos going when you're in the air, and also how to get farther for jumps. And so that's that mechanic that the block actually resets everything is like super useful to do, to know about and to use properly. I'm not sure, but I think that's our very first totem. So it makes a lot of sense just to equip it right away. Ooh, that was a little bit of a nasty hit right there. See, as you can see, the block there made me bridge the gap. I didn't have to fall back down and jump up again. We've got a really tall place there that we can't get up. I think that I need to get the ability to jump vertically like a rocket. I think I actually can't get up there until I do that, or until I learn how to climb up the walls. But we'll see. I know I want to try to get this relic thing that's up there, the item that's up there. So I'll probably go up and try to get that now. Well, I guess not. Maybe I didn't get it. But that brings us to this guy here. I don't know his name. We just call him like the behemoth. But this like behemoth thing is like, hits really hard, and he has a lot of like really defensive hits. So I know not on the first run here, but on the second run, I wasn't like optimized very well, and they gave me a little bit of trouble. But they are what they are. They're quite defensive. You have to get around them. These things are really annoying, the way they behave like that. You just keep on going in the other side of them and hit him in the back somehow. Increase the intensity of status effects inflicted on enemies by 10% when attacking. Okay. So that's another status thing. Like I said, the status isn't really a big thing in this game. It's a bit like, it's not as useful as like you would think so. So right now I'm wondering why the heck that this section is still gray, even though I feel like I've checked everywhere in the room. So I'm searching everywhere. But I think the deal is, I think that the room above it is connected to it somehow. So that's the only like thing that they kind of messed up, is that sometimes areas that aren't connected are connected on the map for the blue or gray color purpose. I'm just gonna scope out the map here and search for places I haven't been or haven't found yet. I'm wondering, like, which area do you guys like the most so far? Actually, the mine here is pretty good. I think it's like one of my favorite areas in the game. In Ender Lilies, the castle that they had, for me, that was my favorite song, and it was also like my favorite area because of the enemy types. They were pretty difficult, and there were a lot of like different types of platforms to jump off of and things like that. In this one, there's this kind of like Japan area, and it has the only song with like words in it, or one of the only songs in the game. That's like one of my favorite areas too. The song's really good. I actually just, believe it or not, here we got the mini boss. We fight a few times here. But yeah, that area is like the best, and I actually like got the song on my phone. I listen to it just sometimes. This guy is actually pretty easy. That block actually is pretty good. It did a decent amount of damage and half of the stagger value for the enemy. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good to block close and to block things. And so you can see I'm trying to do like a little bit of like training there, kind of about it. Trying to block more things and get used to it. There you can see I kind of tested him to see if that would have broke his parts if I did the ground pound there, but like, yeah, so it's not like breaking any parts. So you have to be like a little, like quite high, I think, when you do it for that to happen. I don't know what happened there. I think I thought that would go over my head or something. Like it just did, kind of. And it's kind of funny when you go back and you look at your previous gameplay. It's like, why did I do that? Or how did I miss that? I can't believe, like, I didn't notice that, or I didn't, like, do this, but in the moment, it's harder to know what to do or react correctly. That jump is definitely possible. And I think I get it here. You'll see me just sort of optimize what I just did. Yeah, see, I had the block there and I didn't use it. Yeah, there we go. It's a pretty easy one. Increases break damage. This is a good one to have early on. Later you get like a canister, and that's a little bit better. It's like a green can, I think, and the break damage is a bit better, I think. Little bit of hesitation before jumping down there is I remember from Ender Magnolia, there's a thing where there was a bunch of rats and you have to jump down, and it just was really crazy. So I worried a little bit about before jumping down there first. But you know, I want to search everywhere, so I'll go down there and have a look. Actually, it would be good to just like warp back to a save point here just to get some health. But instead, I'm dropping down into places I don't know where things are, and I'm taking risks that I shouldn't be. See, that was bad, but that was the new thing that I got that saved me. So. And look at that. That's why you gotta try everywhere to see if there's something like that, an invisible wall or something like that. I bet you that's one that a lot of people missed. That's a really there weren't many hints there for that one. But I thought about it and I thought, yeah, I don't really want to do it, but I went down and I just brushed up against that wall the whole way, and there it was. So it's always good to check for those kind of stuff. Now we're going to go to another area, new area, and I think it's the second mini boss encounter that's coming up here. But we'll see. I think now I'm going back and I'm scanning other places, gray areas that I haven't been to, just in case I want to warp there and see if I can get some more trinkets or HP stuff or something like that that'll just make me a little bit better for the next fight. So I prefer to uncover what I can before going to a new area. So I think I'm just I'm remembering that I can't go up there. I think you need the spider web thing that she eventually gets. It's like a tether that you can climb onto certain things. So, but yeah, I think I pretty much went everywhere I could. I think. Up here, those things are too high. It's too high to get the thing up top, and you need to get high in the other place. But here we got this guy, and I think I'm going to give him the rock that girl gave me now. Yeah, 20% or 20 HP gain. That's pretty good. See, so for the next battle, that could mean the difference between surviving or not. So, which, by the way, looking at these characters and stuff, I mean, the animation and the drawing is just amazing, isn't it? I think the way that they did it is they probably drew everything in Photoshop and then separated it to make pieces for I know for sure they use a program called Spine for this, by Esoteric Software, because it's written in the game here. And I know that because on the game Darkest Dungeon, they animated it the same way. And the animators and the developers were cool enough to have like a making of, kind of like a live. They went live, I think, and it was a making of thing, and the guy was drawing everything in Photoshop, and then they rig it to Spine later. So I think it's like which I don't know if they have to develop all those pieces into different layers in Photoshop or not, or if they can just like cut them out somehow. But essentially, I think it's almost like, if you ever seen those like sticker books where there's an outline and there's like numbers, and you can put like the face from the sticker sheet onto like the number 1, where the face is supposed to be on the silhouette, and then number 2, and you do that. They have those things for like kids and stuff. And so I think that's how it works. And so you have all the different cut parts, and then they move, you rig them and make an animation in Spine. And that's how they did it for this game. I'm almost certain. But that leg enhancement gear that I just bought, that's pretty much kind of a waste. But I didn't know how much or how fast that gear would take me. So it could really help with getting to new areas, but that's not the gear that you want. The one that you want is the one that lowers her weight, because every time you attack, you go straight up in the air. And that, if you have that, you can access almost every area in the game almost. So we got, base defense increase of 30 versus like -5 heal potency. It's like a no-brainer. Like, my goal here was to like max out the defense as much as I could, because I figured that that's gonna be, again, something that's constantly working for me. So if it's just a small heal potency decrease, then yeah, it's not a big deal. But it's important though to check the heal potency, because that's really important too. So if you have to have a decent balance of both, is what I learned. So. This, like a no-brainer enhancer here. It's so much better now. You got more break damage and faster shots and things like that. It's just That was great. So again, before going into the new area, upgrade all this stuff because it's huge. I got 30 plus defense, 20 more HP, and I got an enhancement to the gun. That's why before you go on, get what you can. So just checking out the movement speed. What's different? Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? I don't think it really is, especially for 3 slots. It's not really worth it. Yeah, if your window, if your like iframes and the dodge got increased also, then I would say it's probably good. But yeah, you can see the speed isn't really, and the jump isn't really like that different. Gotta ram into the guys to get some more parts, things like that. So this part coming up right here, I see that there's a little notch on the upper left hand there. And so there's definitely something up there, I feel. So I try to get to it, and I also try to get a little bit better with how far I can jump and stuff. It takes a little bit of time here. So it's me kind of monkeying around here a little bit. So if you want to skip ahead, you can, and I'll add the correct time in the subtitles. There you go again. Go where you dare to, or go as far as you can. So that's it. Just try to get other parts of the map uncovered, and yeah, there it was. Got this thing right here. And look how far you can stretch that out. I mean, the problem is you just can't get high enough here. But I think if this is long, I'm gonna add a timestamp for how much I try here. I mean, look how far you can get there. And that's pretty far, but I think this one I can't get it at this point in time, but that weightless gear or whatever I was talking about, with that you can easily get it. Because with that, every time you attack, it boosts your height. So here I end up saying, oh yeah, that gear was worthless after all. And I go ahead and swap it out for the effigy. That's a pretty good one, but it's good for what I have now. But it's not, for me, it's not like an end game thing. But yeah, here we got getting some parts if I shoot them down. And just, you know, we're going to explore the rest of the forest here just to see if I can get to some new areas or something like that. This relic right here is a pretty good one. I mean, 20% with autonomous abilities, but for me, it's just the owl, and he doesn't hit that hard or that often, so I mean, it's an okay one to have, but it's different. When you get the girl with the chair later, she's a little bit more constant and hard-hitting, but that's because she's restricted. She can only work so close to your character, and you have to be near her, and it's difficult to move her around a little bit, so that's the trade-off there. She's a much better, like, that would be good to equip her with. That relic. We're coming up on a part here where the screen's gonna freeze a minute. That's just me saving the video on the PS5. Okay, and that was the save there on the PS5. Up next, we have a boss, a new boss, the Garbage King, or whatever the heck he's called. He's a pretty easy boss in my opinion, but he's like surprisingly quick in like a lot of the moves that he does. So you have to. I think I get hit by that, and then I have to adapt to the speed really quickly. Because you get hit once, it's okay, but twice, 3 times, it's not good. You get hit by the same thing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Do I take him out the first time round? We'll see. And there we go. I know I'm 100% sure it's a boss. So I'm just going to go back and make sure that I am fully optimized. Again, I know that he's not going to break. So I swapped that out for the chain belt. I know he's not going to give me any extra materials. Yeah, the other thing is I can go see, I can buy another vial maybe, and I can get 3 slots available, so I can get the cooldown in there. Then there's the cleaner's tag is pretty good, so I might go back and get another vial here. I'm not sure what I actually end up doing. I might just go for it though. But as you can see, like the XP dice, thankfully it's only 1 slot, but I don't try to swap it out usually, so my goal is like low deaths, but it's also to platinum the game quickly, so but we'll see how this one goes, right? Here the question is, do you take a risk or do you heal? And I chose to heal just in case. And I got used to how long his attack was. Again, it would have been a good idea there to use that block to keep myself afloat, but I didn't do it. But that's how also that can be useful too. It can keep you in the air a long time. There, I did it. So the garbage dude, first time, no death. So kind of really nice cinematic there. I like the art style. Dude, Declan, the scientist, he has a huge head, right? So yeah, he turned the kid into the spider, I guess, is the point of that. But we'll get our revenge. So once we get this ability now, there's a lot we can do. And here we go. This is the big one. This is the big one. Relic refinery. Level up those relics. Huge. This is huge. For the first playthrough and the second playthrough. It's huge. So collect as much scrap as possible. And yeah, try to get as much as you can and try to upgrade everything in the best order possible. Helps out a lot. So you prioritize based on the best stuff you have to level up. So first order of business in games like these is usually to go ahead and unlock everything that you couldn't before using the new ability that you have. So I'm just gonna, I think what I do here is I search around for places where I can use Motley's ability here. And finally get to see what's in this chest here that I really wanted. And it's a pressure ability. So pressure ability is anything where you have to hold in to work, I think. So basically the gun. So that's not bad. But again, the gun is pretty, it doesn't hit that hard. So it's 20% of a small number. It's okay, but I don't think I end up using it too much. Going back and doing this commentary, I really feel like I really enjoyed playing this game through the first time, and it's just so cool and fun to explore everything. I kind of miss it going through the first time, but I'm assuming at least they'll make a third one. And so in that case, I'll get to do it again. And this time I'll do a proper, maybe live stream or make the video properly with not recording on the PS5 at least. And I'll try a no death with that one too. But it's pretty hard, but I'll try to at least beat the number of deaths that I have on this one. So. So recently in Japan here, we just had elections, which I don't know if you guys know or not, but like if you live here, and even if you're a permanent resident, you cannot vote. And so you pay taxes, you pay into the pension system. If you leave early and you paid into the pension system, you may not get that money back at all. And if you pay into the system, you don't get to vote. So that's right. Like the colonists, they said no taxation without representation, right? Well, it's happening here for even permanent residents. And if you want to become a citizen here, a full-blown citizen, you have to end your citizenship in your other country, which, coming from the USA, that's just obviously that's a really bad move. So I know people here that did it. They became citizens from another country. Usually it's like economically worse than Japan, like whatever country they did it from. So they do get like some more benefits by becoming a Japanese citizen, maybe, but I don't know that I would ever do it. Like I mean, I know for sure I would never do it, because I mean, it's obvious that the American citizenship is so great, but it might not be so obvious these days sometimes, because some people say like, oh, I want to move to Canada, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And they talk about how bad it is in the USA. Well, let me tell you something. In USA, though, like, we have like so many resources. We have we can have big houses. We're not restricted by like how old we are. Like, if we can get like such and such of a promotion, so if we do better, we will get like a better promotion faster. So that kind of stuff here, it's all age based, so it doesn't matter necessarily how good you do. It matters a little bit because they might promote you a little bit faster, but not really. So there's still a lot of good stuff about the USA. There's a lot of really good stuff about Japan too, like the low crime rate, and the food is good. The food is a little bit healthier, I think, and there's a lot of things to do in the city here, and even though it's in the city, it's pretty safe. So there's a lot of good stuff too, but there's good things about the USA. Is you miss talking to random shopkeepers and stuff. They don't really do that here. They don't ask you, how's your day going, how's this, that, the other thing, or they don't tell you anything. Sometimes you go to the gas station or whatever in the States, and they'll say, hey, this is what happened in my life recently, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, I didn't ask you to tell me all that, but it has a nice charm. So, by the way, this relic right here, this is the really good one. I mean, you need that scrap to upgrade all of your things if you want to get the platinum, all your relics. So that's a huge one to equip all the time. 15% is pretty good, and then after the upgrade, I think it might go up to like 40% or 45%, like as an end game values, but I forget exactly, but it's pretty good. So in Japan, it's pretty good. There's a lot of good things, but there are things like that. It's like, like, I pay my taxes. Can I at least have a half of a vote value of a normal Japanese person? Well, no. So I don't get to have a say in how my taxes are paid. So they have these elections, and of course I can't vote. And if I become a Japanese citizen, you never know. I mean, like, what's going to happen, or if there's going to be any discrimination against foreigners or things like that. I mean, already people are complaining about the tourists and stuff and everything, and foreign people are just like 3% of the population. Even less than that, I think. But half of that 3% is Chinese, and I think like 40% or 30% is Korean. So it's mostly Koreans and Chinese. Americans, there's just like, I think like 75,000 only or something like that. There's not a lot of us, but they're already like politically, rhetorically, like lumping us in with the other groups as well. So it's pretty quick, and it's only 3%. So it feel like there's a low tolerance there, and so you never know like what could happen with things like that. So I'd never give up the American, but they had the voting, and I don't really ask my friends what they voted for, but if I feel comfortable enough, I like to give them some talking points, because there's the new really conservative party, the Sanseito they talk about, is they're gaining ground a little bit. They're really not that powerful at all, but they are gaining ground a little bit because of people are getting tired of like the Johnny Somalis and the Sigma boys coming in and stuff like that, and people hanging from cherry blossom trees and things like that. So They're getting frustrated with it, but they don't see how much money those people are actually giving. So the tourism actually helps the economy quite a bit, I believe. Certainly the hotel owners aren't complaining about this stuff. But the way I figure is, if that's the problem, then blame the tourists first, because they don't have any incentive to be good sometimes, so they're just going to leave. But they kind of blame everybody, though. And then if it's the tourists, you can do other things. If there's too many tourists, you can have a tax to come inside the country. Or you can make it a little more difficult, or you can raise hotel prices only for foreigners. So like, if there's a big demand, then you just increase the price. It's the same as any product. So I don't know what like the big deal is, or the big trouble. The big problem is what I call like Tokyo centralism. And so they just can't seem to spread things out in Japan. They have to make all their businesses like directly in the city center. So that makes the housing value so high. That's why it's so famous, the Ginza housing prices and things like that. And so I think that all of that centralism, everything's not spread out. So tourists, they all want to come to Tokyo, and everybody wants to live in Tokyo, and blah, blah, blah. And so it makes it a lot more difficult, and the people in Tokyo see it the most. So they think it's like a bigger problem than it is, because everybody's clustered there. For example, like in some cities, like people are buying up some houses and they're renting them, flipping and renting them out. A lot of Chinese people are doing it. But if you look at the overall land ownership for Japan, it's just 1% of the available land in the country. And Japan actually owns much more land than in other countries than what other countries own in Japan. So they're a net global landowner, as you could call it. So it's not like the Sanseito, they want to restrict the ownership, but it's not even that bad of an issue. It's mostly that they're owning it and they're flipping it, renting it out to foreigners, things like that, like tourists and things, to make money on the tourist boom. And so if they want to restrict it, they can, but it's the danger is that if you follow their policies, then other countries might say, oh, well, you don't allow us to own land in your country, so we're not going to allow you to own land in ours. And since Japan is a net global landowner, that's more of a disadvantage than advantage for Japan to do this. So it's just it wouldn't work out. But this Sanseito, they want power, and so they're getting everybody riled up that like, oh, they're taking all of our land and stuff like that. And it's number one, it's not necessarily true because of the statistics on land ownership. But number two is that if you block people, like, that's not going to be the answer. You have to compete in the marketplace. You can't just set rules. Like with Nissan, they didn't want a foreign company to own Nissan, so they trumped up charges on Carlos Ghosn, the CEO of Nissan at the time, and because they were worried it's going to be owned by a foreign company eventually, and so they tried to get him in big trouble, and then he escaped. The dude hid in like an instrument case and was like loaded onto a plane, and that's how he escaped, which is like straight out of a movie plot. But he escaped because he said he had no choice. He said things weren't very fair. So And so, but fast forward to now, Nissan's not doing too well anyway. So even though they tried all that, it may not work out really well in the end. So, but it's interesting. Their other policies are like they want to restrict, people coming into the country, and that's okay too. I totally understand it. But the problem with restricting people is that you don't get the lower paying jobs that Japanese people don't want to do. You don't get those jobs filled by anybody. And in that case, what you have is they might get filled by Japanese, but then the wages are a lot higher. And so if the wages are a lot higher, then the prices are a lot higher, and then people can't afford things. If they can't afford things, then they don't want to spend money on children because they want to have an enjoyable life. They don't want to struggle. So to make ends meet. So they don't have as much children, and so less children, less workers, less future tax money, and so the country gets weaker. And if the country gets weaker, then what happens? Well, then they become more dependent on foreign countries. There we go, got another relic here. Someone else may have further insight to offer. So you go, we'll take it to the lady, or we'll take it to the same guy as last time and see how it is. But I'd love to know how the heck she got up here, by the way. So yeah, anyway, I'm a bit, of course I'm a little bit worried about the conservative rise because things can happen. They're already making permanent residency revocable if you don't pay your taxes. And so, but the way that stuff works sometimes is they say, well, if you don't pay your taxes, reasonably. Well, who says what reasonably is? Eventually people can step in and say, oh yeah, this guy, he missed this payment by a week because he was out of the country, or he just forgot about it. Well, that's enough of a violation. And so they start revoking people's permanent residence and things like that. So it's a little concerning, like if the momentum is like strong enough. And so with their policies, you need, if you don't have that, then the tax base lowers, and then they become more dependent on other countries. And then the other countries, when they make negotiations for different things, they throw other things in, like let us own more of your companies, or let us own more of your land, or make your immigration policy a little bit easier for our people to go, or make your tourism a little bit easier. And just like kind of how what Trump was doing, he was trying to tell other countries that they have to take the prisoners or the illegal immigrants back, and things like that. It's just a power difference. It's a dependency issue. So it allows that kind of dynamic to happen. So ironically, this conservative party, this Sanseito, they want to protect Japan, but to do that, their policies are going to have the opposite effect, I think, and then Japan will operate from a position of weakness. Whereas if you modify the immigration system and try to do it in a smart way, you might get the right kind of people here, that come because they like it, not that come because they have to or because they need money. And then you have to get a combination of those too. But that more balanced approach makes it more sustainable, and then Japan can negotiate in the future from a position of strength. So overall, they're more protected from outside change, ironically, by admitting immigrants smartly, because it saves the economy. Anyway, that was a long speech, but that's a huge news here. I mean, people usually don't care about politics here, but they're a little bit more sensitive about it now. So I try not to talk about it with a lot of people, but I think that these points are pretty important, because some of us are tired about immigrants and things like that, but there's good reasons for them too. It's a very, very complicated issue, and that's why the solution is somewhere in the middle usually, and why we have two sides that disagree so strongly. And that's always a good indication that the real solution is a bit complicated. Anyway, we went back to the lady here and we got the light gear. This is the one. So you can see, look at that vertical distance, that it just increases everything. And so while you're airborne, you can get a maximum of 3 or 4 attack strings, I think. And so that's quite a lot of height. Here we go. Finally, I'm going to get this thing. And you'll see how easy it is to get over there now. Quite easy. Here, I couldn't figure out what the problem was. I thought it was maybe that I have to find something in that room, but I think what it is you have to, like the Ender Lily's character comes and you have to meet that person there, I think, and have a conversation near that flower. I think that's like the unresolved issue with that room, if I remember correctly. So I'll come up on a rest stop here in a bit, and this is a good part to end. See, look at that. With that gear, I got all the way up to the top of this section. I mean, it's unbelievable. So we'll end things here. Let me know if, picking a topic and talking about it is good or interesting. I have a lot of things to talk about with Japan. I know if it's too long, if you want me to focus on the game more, let me know. We'll see you on the next one. Please like and subscribe, as it helps me out a lot. Thank you.